Greetings and durud. Welcome to this latest edition of Farhang Connect, Farhang Foundation's live virtual talk series. This episode is presented in collaboration with San Francisco's Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, home of our current landmark exhibitions, Niki Nujumi, The Personal is Political, and Nahid Hagigat, Etched in Time. Two groundbreaking solo exhibitions currently on view through March 23rd, 2025, curated by none other than Amy Kisch. I am Alireza Ardekani of Farhang Foundation. We are a non-political, non-religious, not-for-profit organization that thrives with the support of its members. Our sole mission is to celebrate and promote Iranian art and culture, enriching the global community. Today, we are honored to welcome our esteemed guest, the brilliant artist, Dr. Nahid Hagigat, who will be joined in conversation by renowned curator, Ms. Pantea Haghighi. Nahid Hagigat is a pioneering artist whose work bridges Iranian and Western art. After graduating in fine arts from Tehran University, Hagigat continued her studies in the United States at New York University in the early 1970s. As she pursued her PhD from New York University, she often exhibited her etchings in Tehran and was instrumental in introducing printmaking to the Iranian art scene. In 2013, Hagigat was included in the seminal show Iran Modern at the Asian Society in New York, and in 2023, in the Los Angeles County Museum of Art's Women Defining Women in Contemporary Art of the Middle East and Beyond. Her work is featured in numerous private and public collections, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the British Museum, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, the Tehran Museum of Contemporary Art, the J.P. Morgan Chase Collection, New York University, and the World Bank in Washington, D.C. Today, Dr. Hagigat will be joined in conversation by Ms. Pantea Haghighi, the curator in residence at Canada's prestigious Vancouver Art Gallery Museum. Haghighi is a doctoral student at the Simon Fraser University. Her research focuses on modernism in architecture and visual arts in relation to vernacular politics. Her expertise in contemporary art has supported her contribution to community development in Canadian institutions. Haghighi utilizes her experience collaborating with individuals from various cultural backgrounds to bring communities together, creating spaces that encourage discussion and the exchange of ideas. Haghighi's curatorial projects include Poets, Blocks, Cages, Parviz Tanavoli at the Vancouver Art Gallery, Gohar Dashti, Dissonance at the West Vancouver Art Museum, Looking at Persepolis, the Camera in Iran, 1850 to 1930 at the Polygon Gallery, and Modernism in Iran at the Griffin Art Projects, just to name a few. Haghighi is currently working on the landmark exhibition Modern Iran and the Avant-Gardes, 1947 through 1977, which will be presented at the Vancouver Art Gallery, set to open December 12, 2025, and to run through May 2026. And Farhang Foundation is proud to once again collaborate with her and the Vancouver Art Gallery on what promises to be a magnificent historic exhibition. Please note that we will be holding a Q&A session at the end of today's conversation, moderated by the incredible Amy Kisch, founder and CEO of AKArt Advisory, and the brilliant curator of the current Niki Nujumi and Nahid Hagigat exhibition at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts. Now, please join me in welcoming the amazing Dr. Nahid Hagigat and the fabulous Pantea Haghighi. Hello, Pantea John, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Alireza Jun, for that introduction and for the opportunity to speak with Nahid Hagigat. And thank you, Farhang Foundation, for your thoughtful programming. Your talk series are very well received here in Canada as well. Nahid Jun, hello.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I would like to congratulate you on the exhibition at Yerba Buena, Etched in Time. I had the pleasure of being there for the opening and watching the film, and this is wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was and it still is a great show. And the day I walked into the show, it was one day before the opening. And when I saw more than 50 years of my artwork collected in one room, it was so emotional for me. Every piece reminded a little bit of my life during that time. And I just saw the whole 50 years passing through my eyes. Was so amazing. And I want to thank you, Amy Kisch, to initiate this exhibition and curating the exhibition. I like to thank Mr. Ali Reza Ardekani, the executive director of Farhang Foundation. I like to thank you, Roshi Rahnama, for the beautiful help that she provided for us. She is the principal of Advocacy Gallery in Los Angeles. Thank you all. And also, I'd like to thank you, Pantea, for having me here and doing this conversation with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nahid. It's a pleasure. Looking very much forward to the next hour of talking with you. I was wondering if we could go back to the early years, and there are many works in this exhibition from the early years, perhaps around 1962. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that era in Tehran and the beginning of your practice.
I entered Tehran University in 1963, and the first day I entered the studio of the art faculty in Tehran University, I was excited. I was confused. I didn't know what's going on. I had no concept of my tomorrow, the future. Anyway, when I entered the studio, which we called it Atelier, and I was at Atelier Hamidi, I saw a huge space, a huge atelier with so many easels and so many paints and so many palettes all over, very chaotic atmosphere. People were gathering around and talking and laughing. So when I entered, I didn't know if I am in the right place. And suddenly, every eye in that room it became toward me. Everybody looked at me, and they just looked at me from top to bottom, and then suddenly they turned their eyes back. And I found out that this was the way they treated freshmen, because in that atelier, everyone from freshmen to senior people, they were right there. We were learning in one room. So I found out that they just look at you and ignore you for a couple of months, and then little by little they come and get familiar with you, and they get you inside them. It was a close chain that nobody could get into them. And I learned from them, and I did the same thing to the freshmen the next year. So anyway, that was the beginning of my artistic experience. During that time, there were 3 painting ateliers in Tehran University. Each one had one professor. Ours was Professor Hamidi, the other one was Professor Javadi, and the third one was Professor Behjat Sadr. And we started connecting to each other really nicely, and the group of us were amazingly friendly together. Professor Haghighi and the rest of the teachers in that area, they decided that they want to go and push us toward the style of art of Beaux-Arts in Paris. During 1960s, Beaux-Arts in Paris, they had their own challenges. They were trying to get out of the classical style and move to more modern expressionism. So this is exactly what our professor in Tehran University did for us. I remember a very turning point in my life, that one day I was working on a subject, and Professor Haghighi, who had this always with beautiful gray color suit and very chic with a tie, nobody could figure out that he is a professor of an art studio, a very dirty, clumsy art studio, but it was so chic and beautiful. Anyway, he came and stand behind me, and he put his sleeves up a little bit and stayed like 2 feet away from my easel, and he emptied the tube of yellow color on my palette. He took a brush, a really large brush, and he put the brush in the yellow color and just smushed it on my canvas. He worked on it for a second, and then he said, "Okay, you go from here." I was standing there looking at my empty, expensive yellow color and looking at my canvas, and it was really a turning point in my life for my art to just break it, get out of the box, do something else. And that was an amazing point in my life.
So it's safe to say that maybe this turning point was an inspiring moment, right at the beginning of your career.
Yes, it was. It was. And I like to mention that every student in that university, in art school of paintings, they were, I mean, we didn't know, but we were creating really a renaissance, and none of us were aware of that. Almost most of the prominent artists that they live or they passed away during this time, they came from the era of 1960s. I would like to mention a few, if it's okay.
Sure.
I don't remember all the names, and it's a long name, but I could say from that era came famous Abbasi Kiarostami, فرشید مسقالی، ممیز، هادی هزاوی، نیکی نجومی، آیدین آقداشلو، علی اکبر صادقی، پروانه اعتمادی، علی محتاج, to name a few.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that will be the beginning of modernism to some extent, or early modernism in Iran, flourishing. Yes.
Yeah.
And so you were at Tehran Fine Arts School for about 4 or 5 years before you moved to New York?
Yes, I was there for 4 years. I finished my diploma project, which was a huge painting that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that, I applied for a few colleges in New York. I chose New York because my uncle lived in New York, so my family didn't want me to be all by myself at that time. So as soon as I found out that I am accepted at New York University, I started organizing my thought, emotionally, mentally, organizing everything that I had to do. So with a lot of difficulty and emotionals of ups and downs, and I was telling myself, it's only 4 years. You're going to come back and you're going to teach. And I was planning all of these things in my mind, not to be upset about it. And finally, on September 8, 1968, I traveled to New York.
Wonderful. And that was a life-changing experience, and so much takes place for you personally in New York at that time as well, both professionally and personally.
It did. It was a huge change. I stayed with my uncle for 1 week, and I got my own place. I studied English for a few months, and then early 1969, I entered New York University. And my plan was just continuing my paintings, drawings and paintings. And when I was taking these courses, my advisor asked me, why don't you take a course in graphic art? And I said, what's graphic art? Printmaking. What's printmaking? And he said, you're going to like it. So he advised me to take that course. And when I take that course, it was another huge life-changing for me to enter the world of printmaking, etchings, and photo etchings. I remember the first day I entered the etching studio. They would call it printmaking studio because it was not just etching, it was lithograph and etching and other stuff. So I saw my teacher, a very tall guy, around 40 years old, standing in a corner with gloves and black aprons and messy all over, exactly against Professor Hamidi. So I was standing in a corner. A lot of people were around him, and I had no idea what he was talking about. So at the end of his talking, he turned to me and he said, "Are you new?" I said, "Yes." He said, "What do you want to do? Do you want to do lithograph or etching?" And I thought he's speaking Chinese to me. I had no idea what he was talking about. Anyway, he asked a student to take me around and help me with the stuff around and help me with what's going on. So it was so many full of huge machines for printmaking, shelves of huge stones for lithograph, shelves of plates next to each other. So he said, these are for lithograph, these are for etchings, these are for this, these are for that. And the big stone didn't affect me. I said, this is too much for me. So I said, what are these? The plates. So he said, these are the plates for etchings, and these are the acid, the wax, all the tools. He showed me everything. And as soon as the next session that we had in the class, I just looked at other students to see what they are doing. I had no idea what to do, where to start. So for maybe a whole class, a whole session, I just look at other students. Finally, I moved on and I went to buy my art supplies. It was a very cute art supply store in the back of New York University. So, and he was really helpful, the owner. His name was David, and there was an old, cute man. And he helped me to what I need, what should I do. So I did all my art supplies purchases from there. Anyway, I started doing etchings. I don't know if I continue or.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Did you have any of your contemporaries from Tehran University that moved to New York, or did the student mostly move to Europe to continue their studies?
Oh, you mean the students?
Students from Tehran University. Did you have any friends, any contemporaries that came to New York?
When I moved to New York and started studying at the New York University, in about 6 months, Nikki Nujumi moved also to New York. Hadi Hazavi also joined us, and the rest of us, most of them, they stayed in Iran. This was almost 10 years before the revolution, and nobody knew what's going on. So most of them, they stayed in Iran, but the three of us, we moved to New York, and we continued our friendship.
Wonderful. And it was later, a few years later, 1975, that you moved to Miami, 1977, around that time, very close to the time of the revolution in Iran, that you made the move from New York.
Right, 1978.
78, right at the revolution.
Yes, a year before the revolution. From 1970, when I started etchings, until 1978, I did a huge series of etchings and about women in Iran, about working people in Iran, children. There was so many stories I could explain about that area. But in 1978, I finished my study at New York University, and in our life, that during that time, Nikki Nujumi and I we were married. So Nikki was very much interested in going back to Iran and observing the revolution at that time, and was thinking, what can he do to improve something? Anyway, at that year, Nikki Nujumi went back to Iran, and I took my daughter Sarah Nujumi, who was 5 years old, to Miami Beach. I wanted to have some relaxed time. I didn't want to get involved in any political situation at that time. The conversation was too much in our household, and I just wanted some kind of release.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose Miami Beach because the weather was warm, and I love the ocean. I love the sand, and I thought maybe I could have some relaxation over there.
Wonderful. We are very delighted to show some of the works at the Vancouver Art Gallery exhibition, Modern Iran and the Avant-Gardes, that you have made between 1975 and 1978. And if we could have some of those images, that would be great, Ali Reza Jun. We have about 10 Iranian women artists included in this exhibition. And so these are some of the works you made in Miami, correct?
That's right. When I got to Miami, I was very, very interested with the scenery, the leaves, the trees, the marshes, so many things that were happening over there. And I just took my camera and I was everywhere taking pictures from palm trees, dry leaves, and huge leaves that I have never seen in New York. The scenery was amazing, and I did many, many paintings during that time that I was in Miami. I also found a gallery that wanted to sell my work and represent me. So, and it was a great time for me to paint and to relax.
Wonderful, wonderful. So at the end of this year, at the end of 2025, you will be part of the exhibition Modern Iran and the Avant-Gardes at the Vancouver Art Gallery. This exhibition will discuss the years between 1948 and 1978. And the development of modernism. And we have about 10 Iranian women artists included in this exhibition, which is a rarity. And Dr. Fereshteh Daftari is writing a very thoughtful essay on the development of modernism through the eyes of the women artists during this period. You mentioned one of your contemporaries, Parvaneh Etemadi, for instance, and Behjat Sad, that was a professor of yours. They're both included in this exhibition alongside yourself. Would you be able to tell me a little bit about the role women artists played in shaping the modern movement in Iran? This might be a bit of a distant observation for you because you were living in New York during the 70s, early 70s, mid 70s.
Right.
And you have works such as Going Away, Struggle 1, Struggle 2 that you had produced at that time, the etchings.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how these works contributed to the notion of the modern movement in Iran at that time?
This work is an etching and Etched. I took this picture, of course, without the woman. When I was very young, and we were traveling south of Iran, and I took this picture from I believe it was Khorramshahr, and I had the picture with me, including a lot of other pictures. So at that time, I did a series of going away. Sometimes, and every one of them portrayed a nude woman from back going away. And I just had this feeling that one day, because of so much pressure of the political, social, and cultural pressure on Iranian women, that this is the only way they could do beside creating art, just going away. It gave me so much pleasure, emotion, affection to just paint and create this series. I have a few series of this going away. I don't know if you have the pictures of them or not, but
we have these pieces, Struggles. That's
okay.
Also a series.
Okay. This one, also they are etchings, dry points, and Etched. I did this series of struggle because there is always struggle between any individual. It doesn't matter if it's old, young, rich, poor. Everyone has this struggle within themselves. We are born with darkness and lightness. we are born with a wolf and a sheep. And this struggle is to creating a balance with ourselves and with our relationship to the others. And the balance is what I was looking for. The other one is a single man hanging from the ropes, and that one was really hanging with this one hanging to find his balance. He's struggling to find his own balance between goodness and darkness, between the wolf inside and the sheep inside. And I believe we need to feed both of them, the wolf and the sheep, and create a balance, because if you're a sheep, you're going to be eaten, and if you're a wolf, you're going to eat others. So there is a balance here. It's like karate. The karate is finding a balance. Of course, you know the technique, you know how to defend yourself, and this is the wolf inside you, but you are keeping the wolf quiet until somebody attacks you. So to live a life, I believe, to live a comfortable life, you need to keep this balance. So these are the struggles to keep the balance in life.
Thank you. Speaking about struggles and about women and politics of Iran, it seems like some of the work from 1970s have been influenced by the politics of that time. And then if we move later to maybe the past, post-revolution, maybe the past 20 years, I think you have a soft spot for depicting the struggles that Iranian women have been throughout the history. And in the past, let's say 20 years, 25 years, the past 40 years, what role do you think you have played in the younger generation of women artists? We can talk about, women life freedom series that you have done in responses to the struggles, and what inspired you to create these works, for instance?
First of all, if I had a role, I'm not aware of that. But I have connections with younger female artists since the movement of women life freedom. Since then, this movement was a turning point since 40 years ago, when women are under oppression. They are, and one thing that I'm very amazed of, the resistance and the power of these women, that how they could survive during all these years under the harsh control of political, social, and cultural pressure. So the movement of women life freedom was absolutely the beginning, the first of all the movements that it was happening before. In this movement, what was so amazing that young people, young generation, men and women, especially women, were rushed into the streets. They put their chest in front of arms, and they lost so many lives. They arrested so many beautiful people, and with all of these emotional and struggle movements that were going on, I was so affected that I created digital paintings, and these are the three of them showing young women. And this one is about daye daye waqt jange. It means time to be armed. And at that time, I was really strongly was thinking that having arm is the solution. Maybe
Right.
I think that.
Right.
Anyway,
these works are based on your etchings, correct? Earlier etchings that that you
yes,
started your practice with.
yes, I followed the routine and the way I did my etchings to repeat one form after another, and I created this series. Also, exactly during the movement, a huge gallery in New York City, Cultural Lab LIC, they launched a huge exhibition about this kind of work, and they invited artists from Iran, and the title of the exhibition was Anonymously as Iran. And more than 150 Iranian artists, mainly from Iran, participated in this exhibition. And more than 1,000 viewers came for the first night. The exhibition continued for about a month. It was amazingly powerful. It was full of powerful artworks from paintings, sculpture, digital art, video art, installations. And I have never seen anything so powerful and so much talking about struggle in one exhibition during that movement. And that was really the highlight of what we could do in New York about this movement.
It's wonderful to see the line of your response to the women's struggles throughout Iranian history. Is this a subject matter that you will be working on, of course, in the future as well?
Maybe. I'm still working on that. I do a lot of paintings about that era. And recently, do you want me to talk about my recent artwork right now?
Sure, we can talk about what inspires you today. I mean, we talked about what inspired you early on in your career.
Right.
And I think Professor Hamidi had a lot to do with that. That moment of change and
Right.
yes, inspiration. Yes, I do want to talk about today, what you're making today, what inspires you today. I think we have covered two different subject matters. One is your relationship to nature, and one the women's struggles within the politics of Iran. And so you mentioned that you're working on Orange Flowers. It's a series that it's at hand. Please do tell us about it and about the exhibitions that are coming up as well.
Okay. About 2 years ago, I had an accident, and I was in so much pain that for 1 year I was not able to paint. Finally, I put myself together emotionally, mentally, physically, and I started one painting, and that painting was very emotional for me at that time. I painted a very dark atmosphere with very dry branches. It was lifeless. This scenery was completely lifeless. And in one corner of the painting, I painted a little green blue coming out. And I thought, there is a hope, and there is a hope for me, and there is a hope that I continue painting. The next one, I also painted a gloomy scenery with a very dark sky. And from one corner of the sky, a dim light is coming through, and half clear, half ghosted rooster is singing. And that was a sign of almost for hope for me. So I paint the events that usually are in contrast, exactly like my own situation. Right now, I paint a series of branches that they have no life. They are almost dead, and that's the darkness part of the life. And I put beautiful, colorful blossoms on top of these branches that is giving us hope, giving us life, and keeping the balance.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what we're looking at, Orange Flowers, is that part of a larger series that will be exhibited soon?
I hope so. I hope so. The exhibitions that coming with advocacy, with Dear Roshir Rahnama, is mainly are the series, the continuation of the series of Yerba Buena, and probably we're going to have more of those in that exhibition in Los Angeles. And we're talking about if we're adding more paintings like this in that exhibition or not. It's not clear yet, but we know that the opening is May 22nd of this year, and goes until the end of April. We are working on the title, and that's all the information I have of that exhibitions.
Wonderful. That's great. It's lovely to hear a little sneak peek about what the exhibition will be. It's very exciting. Wonderful. And I will definitely be there. Nahid, thank you so much. It's wonderful to have talked about two different moments, a moment where you wanted to move away from politics in Miami and you turn into nature, and then moments where, politics were center stage within women's struggles. And it is lovely to have covered part of that, your 50 years, which the exhibition at Yerba Buena is depicting in this conversation. Thank you so much, and we look so forward to your next exhibition, and we very much look forward to having you in Vancouver at the end of the year. And I think it will be the first time that we are having your show in Canada, actually. So it's a very exciting moment for us as well. Thank you so much. And I will turn it to Ali Reza and questions that we are all ready for.
Hi, lovely to be here. It was wonderful to hear the two of you explore some of Nahid's past and how it leads to what we see here today. We're lucky to have here downstairs in the galleries in San Francisco. There have been some really fantastic questions coming in. So I'll dive into some of those questions, and then I can share a little bit more about some of the reasons and how the exhibition in San Francisco came to be. Kind of relevant to one of your last conversation. One of the questions is that, Nahid had mentioned that you abstained from getting involved in Iran's 1979 politics, but what prompted you to do otherwise during the 2022-2023 uprising?
The revolution went in a wrong way. That's why I was away from it, and I didn't want to participate in any one of those demonstrations, mentally or emotionally, because we never thought that the revolution is going to become a completely a different way against people, against women. They created chaos in Iran. They created animosity in between people. They executed thousands and thousands of people in Iran. It was not that I was not aware of those things. I just, during that revolution, during that year, because it was so much argue and chaos in my own life that I just wanted some release, getting out of that situation for a little bit. It's not that I was not aware of what's going on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, of course, you were aware. I think it was more a question of your involvement and your direct kind of call and response to what was happening through your artwork. I mean, yeah, I mean, I see in your work, there is a direct call and response to in your depictions of women, you know, and how through simple imagery, you are having kind of larger conversations, both about your individual kind of metamorphosis as well as broader society.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead,
Go
Nahid.
ahead. Okay. It's very amazing that during my time when I was creating the etchings, I created so many plates, so many artworks about women in Iran, even 10 years before the revolution, and because women in Iran, they were living, even if it was before the revolution, women in Iran, they were living in a male-dominated culture and society. And that was what I was portraying. The continuation of that, I continued that after the revolution, after I came back from Miami Beach, and I did a series of paintings, which I don't have any pictures or images of that era. But you know, the news from Iran, the chaos from Iran, the harshness from Iran always affected me, and always it was in my own paintings and drawings always.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess another great question is, have you found differences in how your work is received in Iran versus internationally? And have you had to navigate self-censorship or external restrictions on your work? And one of those that kind of is related to that is, you know, have you ever shown, for example, the Going Away series in Tehran, the nudes, you know, in terms of your depiction of nudes, and also what that represents and how within your cultural context, nudes might indicate something different than they might in a Manet or a Degas. So if you could speak to that.
Right. My main exhibitions in Iran, they were a few years before the revolution. Every year, Niki Nujumi, this is during 1970s, has nothing to do with, this is before the revolution. So he used to go to Iran, has his own exhibitions, and he used to take my printmakings to Iran, and I had a few exhibitions at Litho Gallery. I really do not remember if I had those nudes during those exhibitions or not. It's more than about 50 years ago. But I know that I had a series of the women, I had a series of children, I had series of these repetitions. So and also I had no exhibitions after the revolution, but they had huge exhibitions in Tehran Museum. This was after the revolution, and I had a few pieces there. Even that was, I was not aware of that. I heard it, that I have a few pieces in the museum. but I never had any exhibitions after the revolution in Tehran. I had exhibitions in America, in many important cities. I had exhibitions once in London, but I didn't have any exhibitions in Tehran.
Do you think that would be likely ever in the future to have exhibitions happening in Tehran?
Not now. Maybe after this regime is gone forever. Maybe at that time, but not now. I have no plan for that.
Thank you. One question, just kind of going back a little bit, is at how did the art and political movements at Tehran University specifically influence your work, and how did they compare to the artistic and political climate you later encountered in the United States?
The experience that I had in Tehran University, I cannot put finger on it. This is the experience that I had. This is the experience that I didn't have. It was a knowledge that I acquired during Tehran University. And knowledge is not in one work or two work, or I can explain it. The knowledge came to me to New York University. And during my time that I was creating those etchings, I used that knowledge. I created my work through my knowledge, through my understanding, through the experiences that I had with women in Iran, through the experiences that I had with women with chador while I was wearing a miniskirt, experiences of children with no clothing in the street, experiences of ordinary people. These are the knowledge that you acquire during your lifetime. And when you try to create something new, the knowledge doesn't go. The knowledge is still there, and you're using them to create the new paintings, to create art.
Thank you. Another question that came through also has a lovely comment. It says, "Dear Ms. Nahid, what a pleasure to hear your voice and experience. I am a printmaker myself from South America. My question to you is personal, as I live in similar pain for the history of my home country. What sustains you as an artist doing the kind of work you have done? Where do you find hope and joy?"
Hope and joy comes from inside you. There is nothing outside that is going to put it in a silver plate and come to you and say, here, this is happiness, this is joy, use it. It's not going to happen like that. I tried very hard for many years to create, to love myself, to create joy, to create happiness within me. And that's how I can survive this contrast in life, and I can survive the harshness outside and inside and everywhere. So just go inside yourself and find love, peace, and joy.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I think we have time for a couple of more questions, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming programming and a little bit about the background of the exhibitions here at Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, which will be up till March 23rd, for those of you that are able to travel to the Bay Area and see it in person. We've been also getting a lot of really wonderful chats saying that they saw the exhibition and it was just amazing to see, and amazing to see the female perspective, in this context. So one of the questions is around how were women artists treated in Iran's art market back in the 1960s? Do you think it's different in New York, either then or now? And do you think women are treated fairly, and are opportunities for women better now?
In 1960s, while I was at the Tehran University, in our own little studio or atelier, there were not many women artists going to that school. They were maybe 1/4 women and the rest men. Also, there were not many galleries, and I didn't see any of galleries that presenting women artists. And of course, there were very few galleries. Mainly, they were showing paintings of Saqakhane, and Saqakhane styles were only men that were creating that kind of styles. And I really, honestly, I knew Monir Farmanfarmayan, that she was active during that time in Tehran, and Behjat Sadr was active during that time. Matin Daftari was active at that time, but the role of men were so more powerful that we were secondhand. That's how I can explain that. And in New York also, during the time that I was at New York University, and I was very fortunate to be surrounded with so many American artists, modern artists, galleries, and all the things that were going on. I would say 70% of the galleries, they were showing male artworks, and much less than female artists.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to say this kind of feels like a very natural segue to kind of share a little bit about how this exhibition came to Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, which was this film made by your daughter, Sarah Najumi, and her partner, Til Schauder, their company, Partner Pictures. They created a film which depicts and kind of tells the story of what happened before and during the revolution to your family, and what happened with you coming to the States, and then Sarah coming to the States, and Nikki going back and forth between Iran to take part in the revolution and continuing to make his own artwork, and you continuing to make your own artwork, but also being the kind of primary caregiver for Sarah during that time, which I think in that era was a pretty common role that the woman would default to. And so very much in this film, you both, Nikki and you, Nahid, emerge as heroes in your own way for kind of the different choices you made in these different moments. And so very much, I think one of the things is that your artistic practice had not been, because of the caretaking you were doing, foregrounded in the public arena as much as Nikki's. And so when the film came out and Sarah and I chatted about how we could bring the film to San Francisco, and Nikki had a show called Let's Talk at Art Gallery that we could easily have traveled up. For me, it was very important that you also take up physical space kind of as equal measure as we could, so that your artistic journey and practice was shown as well, and that you could understand the history, as the film lays out so beautifully, about kind of what was the background for both of you during this time, and for you as a family, and the impact of revolution on a family of artists, and the impact of a family of artists on a revolution. And I think it's not just an Iranian story, it's a human story. It's a story of anybody who's committed to democracy and creative expression and free expression. So I don't know if for you, in seeing the film, some of these things you felt them as well, and what your experience was in seeing the film.
When you are in a process of your life, you're doing your life, your everyday life, whatever comes, whatever is needed, you do that. Whatever, if Sarah needs something, I need to do that. If this needs to be amended, we need to do that. If everything is broken, somebody has to put them together. So during that time, while I was living my life, I did what I needed to do. I was not complaining. I was thinking that this is my life at this moment of time, and this is what I need to do. And if I didn't paint for sometimes, it was okay. I was doing something else to put the family together and create an atmosphere of peace, which probably I was not very helpful. Anyway, during that time, I had no idea. I was doing my job. But after I saw the movie, I said, oh, this is what I went through. And it seems that my whole life came in front of my eyes, and I was a little shocked. I was very emotional, and this is what it was. I don't know what else to say. I did whatever I needed to do.
Absolutely. So just to share, for those of you who are able to come to the Bay Area, there will be some upcoming programming throughout the remainder of the exhibition. For example, right now, a screening has just started at YBCA every second Sunday. So in February and March, the remaining Sundays, we'll be having screenings of the film, followed by curator-led tours. Ali Reza, if you could put up the slide of kind of the upcoming programming, that would be amazing. Yeah, so every second Sunday and every first Thursday for the next 2 months, there will be screenings of the film, followed by curator-led tours of the exhibition. And as well on Wednesdays at 2:00, there's a free screening here, because every Wednesday YBCA is free, as it is on second Sunday. And then, just to say that coming up, there'll be some other programming. Ali Reza, if you could forward to the next slide. That Farhang Foundation is putting on, kind of to dive further into a lot of the voices from the region, Syria Ensemble and Shinab, A Journey Through Iran's Soulful Southern Rhythms, on Saturday, February 22nd. Going back to the film, also just to say, for those of you who can't make it to San Francisco to see the film here, if you have HBO, you will be able to see it there. But I think, again, and some of these comments here, they're describing how inspirational, your role in the film is, and how, that women play this central role in so many of your works. And, for you to navigate the balance between your personal narrative and broader social commentary, as well as your endurance to continue to make, art kind of silently, quietly, to some extent, as well as, I think, if you see in the exhibition that spans these, 5 or 6 decades, how there are truly these echoes from the past of you looking back at etchings from the 1970s, and then in some cases, literally hand painting them with color in 2015 or 2018. Others, it's you're looking at an etching from the past, from your own personal archive, and then transforming it into a painting. And I guess a question I have for you is, as you stand here, today in 2025, looking back, are there any reflections about whether the arc, both for your artistic practice and politically, what has kind of happened worldwide, has flattened, it is the same, it is worse, it is better, in terms of the looking backward and then being in the present moment while trying to look forward positively?
Long question. I am looking forward. I do whatever comes for me, and all the events that I am painting right now comes from whatever I think about life right now, not just one particular life in Iran or one particular life in America, which is happening right now. I am not seeing the details of life here or there or that. I am seeing it in general. I like to create something that life taught me, and I like to create something that pleases me, and I like to create something that pleases others. And it's right now at my age, I'm just thinking of what I'm creating to please myself, to be loved by myself, to be loved by myself. I like the paintings I create to remind me of everything that I experienced, like these branches and beautiful blooms, colorful blooms that are on top of it. I believe it's my whole life that I am painting right now. So that's what it is right now.
It's really interesting that you say this. One of the comments that came in, someone said, just a comment as I listen to you, it seems that your artwork closely aligns with this Baha'i quote. When the artist creates a work of art, if it is done with the right intention, seeking to reveal beauty, promote harmony, and inspire the soul, it becomes a form of worship.
That's a good talking about it.
Thank you so much, Nahid and Pantea and Ali Reza. It's been a privilege and an honor to have your work here in San Francisco, and for the next couple of months to continue it here.
You are the ignition of the flame. Thank you.
My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. And Pantea, I'm excited for the show in Vancouver. I hope to be able to get there. And similarly for your upcoming show at AKArt Gallery. Congratulations. So well deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Nahid John and Pantea John, for today's incredible conversation. We're honored to have you both be with us today. I personally fell in love with Nahid John the first time I saw A Revolution on Canvas, and I can never get enough of hearing your conversations and learning about your perspectives. We are also honored to have you with us. And a special thanks, of course, to dear Amy for all her brilliant hard work in bringing this current exhibition to YBCA and bringing it to life. Thank you to the entire team at YBCA for their continued collaboration and dedication to the exhibition and all the many associated programs throughout its run. If you happen to be in the Bay Area again, we highly recommend that you visit the exhibition at YBCA, which has just been extended through March 23rd, 2025. And if you are also in Bay Area, be sure to join us on February 22nd for the incredible concert of celebrating Southern Iranian soul music with the Syria Ensemble and Shinab. It's a one-night event at the Blue Sheet Theater at the Yerba Buena, and the tickets are now on sale on farhang.org. Please note that today's talk was recorded and will be made available on farhang.org, where you may watch this and all our other many episodes of the series. As always, please visit farhang.org for all our latest upcoming events, programs, concerts, performances, and any other initiatives that we have working on. Thank you to our audience who are joining us from across the globe in today's conversation. We look forward to welcoming you again next time. Until then, I bid you all farewell. And once again, thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.